Miami, suspension for Jimmy Butler is almost over. They don't want him in the building. This is going to be an issue because the Players Association says you can't bar my guy from playing. And Pat Riley says, I can bar anybody I want on this team if he has been the way that Jimmy Butler has been. Milwaukee called Miami. Butler said, I'm not going to Milwaukee. Houston called. He said, I'm not going to play for the Rockets. He wants to go to Phoenix. But Phoenix, because of the salary cap, has to work a three-way deal. Phoenix is trying to move their troubled guard, Brad Beal. He would go to Detroit as part of the three-way trade that would put Jimmy Butler in Phoenix. Now, Beal says, no, I'm not going to Detroit. Bad team, all that. NBA's got so many internal problems with the divas in the game. Sacramento Kings, unique. We talked about this a week ago. They fired Mike Brown, which stunned me, stunned a lot of people around the NBA. Since Doug Christie was named interim, they're 5-1. They're playing really well with Doug Christie as the interim coach. Cleveland, Oklahoma City. That sure looked like NBA final basketball last night on TV. Holy cow. Cavaliers are just phenomenal. And they snapped Oklahoma City's 15-game winning streak. Cavaliers are on another tear. They've now won 11 in a row. It's their second long winning streak of the season. This Cavalier team's really good. Oak City is unbelievably athletic. NHL, Players Association has just agreed to begin, it's called a First Line Initiative. They are now offering mental health care to not just the NHL players. That program's already been in place for a couple of years. But they're offering mental health care, John, to every player that's in the American Hockey League and the East Coast Hockey League, even guys who are not on NHL contracts who now have problems. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Hockey players have a wide variety of issues. Head injuries, obviously, the concussion problem. That's an issue that's been out there. Those guys now can go into the assistance program and get help, get counseling. There's marital problems. There's alcohol problems. There's PED problems. NHL is no different than anybody else. And it's a tremendous amount of money. The Players Association is going to pour into this First Line Initiative to take care of minor league players. If there's a San Diego Gulls player who's got personal problems, he can get help through the NHL Players Association. Big story. Columbus Blue Jackets, we followed and tracked and talked about the story, the tragedy of Johnny Hockey. Johnny Gaudreau and his brother, Matt Gaudreau, college hockey star, both killed by a drunk driver. I was shocked. The guy who was arrested, charged with DUI manslaughter, who has a history of road rage and drunk driving, he pled not guilty in court this week. And he's waiting for a psychological report on him. It's a tragic story that just won't go away. The heartbreak for Johnny Gaudreau's family is unbelievable. And now this guy says, I might have been the driver of this car and it might have been a road rage incident, but I'm not guilty. Holy cow. Mountain West Conference. This makes no sense to me at all. Mountain West Conference last night added Northern Illinois as a conference member. Northern Illinois. That's DeKalb, Illinois. That's in the Mid-American Conference. That's in the Midwest. This makes no sense to me from a Mountain West standpoint, except it gives them a ninth football school. Makes no sense to me from Northern Illinois from a media capital standpoint. You're coming out here on TV, you think you're getting big TV money here? You don't get big TV money in the Mid-American Conference. What are you doing? This to me is weird. So they have added Northern Illinois, Texas, El Paso, and Hawaii as a full-time member, and those are the ones that are replacing the 5 schools who left to go to the Pac-12. Is there anything sexy about Northern Illinois, UTEP, that attracts you to the Mountain West? I don't understand that, John. Just absurd. Other topics on the table. Let's talk about
Palomar College, Tom Kraft.
Yes, Palomar College, Comets. I think it's one of the great offensive minds I've ever crossed paths with. Tom Kraft is retired as head football coach, started at Palomar College as a coach, built him into a national JUCO power, came to San Diego State, really went through a tough time at San Diego State. At that point, the school was not supporting the program very well. He went 9-19 and left, went to Mount Sac, which is a national power, and then he went to Riverside City College, where he rebuilt that and made them a national champion. Just a real smart dude in terms of X's and O's. His mind is working all the time. He gave all these small high school kids a chance to grow as a player, and he sent a ton. Tom Kraft sent a ton of kids to Division II and NAIA schools. He didn't put a lot of kids in the Pac-12 because it was Palomar and it was Riverside City. But what a smart guy! What a bright guy! He was a quarterback at San Diego State for 2 years, a JUCO guy. Great career, 30 years. His career record is staggering. 261 and 78 in two national champions.
That's good.
Yeah. So Tom Kraft, salute you. Really good job. Really sad story. Baltimore Orioles, the passing of former number 1 draft pick, ex-University of San Diego pitcher Brian Mattis. He passes away in Phoenix. He was found deceased in his home. He's from Arizona, came to USD, pitched for Rich Hill. Phenomenal college career. First-round draft pick Orioles, got there as a starting pitcher. Struggled a little bit, got hurt his shoulder, reinvented himself, became a relief pitcher, and he wound up pitching for 9 years in the major leagues. So Brian Mattis passes away, kind of a real stunning, sad story over on the hill at the University of San Diego. And the PGA Tour, they're in Hawaii. This was very emotional this week. They teed off this week in Honolulu with the Sony Open. 16 players took part in a pre-ceremony. There was a golfer a year ago who won the Sony Open. His name was Grayson Murray. He was a journeyman. He won the Sony Open. He had fought mental health issues his entire life. And he got himself the PGA Tour card, won a couple of events. A couple of weeks after he won the Sony in Honolulu, he committed suicide when he had a bad round at the Colonial in Dallas-Fort Worth. It was really shocking. Anyhow, his family and 16 PGA guys at the first hole, which had a water hole in front of the green.
Mm-hmm.
They went and the family deposited some of his ashes and these Hawaiian flowers in memory of him. And the PGA just announced simultaneously with the ceremony to honor Grayson Murray that the PGA was going to start a mental health program for all golfers. And that could encompass guys that fail drug tests, guys that have financial problems, guys that have social problems, guys that have marital problems, guys that have confidence problems. So they're pouring like $1.2 billion into this mental health program in memory of Grayson Murray. So a lot of different topics there, a lot of different things. John, go ahead, you can comment, go anywhere you want.
There are 10 topics on the table on the high-speed sports wire. 2 of them are about mental health, in the NHL and the PGA. That's refreshing. Society is sort of catching up to this.
Sure.
And I think this is a great thing. How about the 2 top teams in the NBA, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder? Who would have thunk? Sure, the Cavaliers had their moments with LeBron and, way back in the day. Who was it? Was it Craig Elo?
Sure.
Back in the 80s. But these are 2 teams that you would never think would be at the top of the game. But OKC has been, they've been scratching the surface of the top of the Western Conference. Maybe this is their year.
Well, they got Gilgeous Alexander. He is a hell of a guard. And they've got a lot of firepower and young guys around him in Oklahoma City. And Cleveland's got Donovan Mitchell. And they got the USC center who has just grown by leaps and bounds, Evan Mobley. And they got Jared Allen, big center. And they got a lot of firepower coming off the bench. I mean, these are 2 really good basketball teams. Not sexy names. No, do you know anybody's talking about the Boston Celtics anymore? And anybody talking about the Lakers being a finalist? No. I mean, these 2 plus the Houston Rockets, I think, are the best 3 young teams in the NBA. And they put on a show last night that was it was really great.
Well, the NBA needs a show. Sure. I mean, with all the, people jacking up 100 threes in a game and like playing no defense, it's nice to see some teams playing hard, good ball. Good on the Kings. Christie. Now, again, I think I asked this question before. There's Max Christie, and then there's the other Christie.
Doug Christie. Former player.
But are they related?
No, Max Christie is with the Lakers. He's the young guard.
Okay. So that was that particular issue. And then the other one, Tom Kraft. I remember when he took over the Aztec program, and I think that might have been in the 90s when you were on 690, and we were talking about how it was aircraft, and everyone thought this was going to be a genius offensive guy.
Yeah, the great quarterback, Billy Blanton, who threw the hell out of the ball. But they had academic problems, and the NCAA changed the rules for entrance exams, and where San Diego State was trying to build it quickly with skill guys. He knew every JUCO coach everywhere. And he had 5 JUCO All-Americans who were supposed to come in his final year, wide receivers. It would have made a big difference. He couldn't get them in school because the academic standards changed, and San Diego State didn't help him a great deal. John Maffei of the Union Tribune wrote a fascinating article today that was published about Kraft's history and all the things he accomplished. I was stunned. It didn't work at San Diego State, but I was there and I understood what was going on around him. I was stunned he didn't go somewhere else. I thought he would have been an unbelievable coach in the Big Sky Conference.
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't want. He wanted to stay in California. He wanted to stay in the junior college system. And he had some structure to his life that he loved living here. He never moved from here. He'd commute every day to Riverside, and before that to Mount Sac. But he was so unique. I mean, you talk about ahead of the curve in college football. He's doing it with young kids. He didn't get 5-star recruits or anything. So I always enjoyed being around him. He was just kind of a cool guy.
It's interesting how some coaches are like that. You know, they find their niche where they're really good at junior college and they just really try to be dominant and the best they can be in that particular space. So good on Tom Kraft. I remember him, good vibes with that guy. So wish him well in retirement.
Smart guy for sure. Hey, this podcast is brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in Southern California. You got projects for 2025. Think about Dixieline Lumber.